If you like the content that we're pushing out, please like, share, and of course subscribe. And let us know in the comments what you think about our videos. Like, why would you watch it and not tell us what's going on? And I hope to see you later on. Peace out. Welcome to another alternative factuals video, and today is just a short video clip, well, a short video discussion, or conversation, whatever you want to call it, about the series Supergirl. Now, I have not been watching Supergirl as faithfully as I've been watching The Flash and Black Lightning, even Legends of Tomorrow, and I've kind of stopped watching Arrow after that whole Olicity situation that happened last season. I've been watching it like a little bit here and there just to see what's going on, because I know they make a lot of references to the other TV shows, but that's about it. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. Now, Supergirl is the show in itself is not a bad concept. It really isn't at all. My problem with the show is they're usually introducing too many concepts, too many problems that are existing at the same time. For example, like, oh yes, we get it. Kara Zor-el, she wants to be accepted, she wants to have relationships, she wants companionships, which is perfectly fine, and that's perfectly okay. But the thing is, yes, you have the aspect of her being in a relationship, her being Supergirl, her wanting the world to accept her wanting other people to accept her in her personal life. She works as a journalist and she wants to be accepted and gets promoted at that job as well. And then we also have Cat Grant, James Olsen. Everyone has their personal problems in the TV show, because these are not, side characters. They're not even supporting characters. They are actually part of like the more main cast. And even her best friend, Win Scott, that's his name. I think I pronounced it a little bit wrong, that last name. And then they introduce like Lana Luthor, Mon-el of Daxam, and all that stuff. Like, all of these people have their individual problems as well as problems that they have when they come together in that chemistry like aspect. And they're feeding into this whole black hole of problems. Everyone has problems, and then it's like there's so much going on. Sometimes emotionally you just don't know necessarily who to get attached to, who you shouldn't get attached to. Overall, if you're like me, when there's too much going on emotionally, you're just like, I don't really care, because it's too much. It's like they're forcing a lot of situations in order to get you to get attached to these characters emotionally. And there's nothing wrong with getting into a character emotionally, but sometimes when you do too much at once, it gets overwhelming, and then people will back off. Now, for all of you out there who are going to be like, oh, you don't like Supergirl because she's a woman, and then, she has a position of power, it has nothing to do with that, simply because I enjoy Supergirl comics, especially the DC Rebirth that came out in 2016. I forget how many issues have come out already. I think it's still ongoing, if I remember correctly. Maybe it stopped because I've been a little behind reading it, but I do enjoy her comics. Even the comics that she had before Crisis on Infinite Earth and stuff like that, I did enjoy some of her comics. Sometimes they weren't always great, but the concept of her character was great, because they were hinting at the fact that she indeed could be more powerful than Superman, which I found completely dope. It was a great idea, but I think the show is not executing that properly, because Supergirl was a character that was heavily attached to Superman, and then most of her villains were in conjunction with Superman's villains. So I understand where a lot of their powers and stuff were coming from, and plus they had a lot of backstory, which indeed did help feed into her and her personal life and how she can deal with being Supergirl and being her own person while she's still fighting villains that are in reference to her cousin Kal-El. Another thing too is that they have this constant urge to expand their team. Like, the show is called Supergirl, and then now I'm watching the show, and then it's like Supergirl, then it's Mon-el, then it's John Jones, then it's James Olsen, then it's Cat Grant, Lana Luthor, then there's this whole department of extra normal operations. And individually these people are not bad, but it's just there's so many characters, and it's just like, what the heck? Why are they trying to force a team of people for Supergirl, someone who has the power to like destroy a planet if she was like really having a bad day? She doesn't need a team of people. I guess like it's okay if you want people around, but like I said, that should only be like about 2 or 3 people. Well, CW's been doing that for a lot of their shows lately, with this constant expanding team, rather than having just that one team on the CW, which is supposed to be a team, which is Legends of Tomorrow, which is perfectly fine, because that's their whole purpose, to be a team. But even still, that's neither here nor there. But anyways, what also is getting me frustrated is they're introducing the Legion of Superheroes a little early in her career, because in reality, when you read, like, from the day she's been coming out as Supergirl, and since today, it's only been, I think, about maybe a year and a half, 2 years in retrospect, and it hasn't been a lot of time. And then there's so much, like I said, they're trying to introduce like Cyborg Superman and the
the Legion of Superheroes from the future, and Reign, who, like I said, did not exist in comics except for one point in time and has not been seen since, before or after that. So it really is just like, you know, they're reaching for a lot of inorganic situations that are not working for the series. Like, you can feel it's being forced. It does not feel natural. Like, you don't feel comfortable, like things are flowing in the series. They're trying to force a lot of concepts down your throat. Even the sister being lesbian, you know, for the first season and a half, they really try to shove that concept down your throat, and they didn't have to do that simply because even in the Flash in season 1, they did actually introduce that Captain Singh was gay, but they only had an episode or 2 when they showed that, and then you never really had to see it again because we know he is, and you don't have to force it down our throat, and it was done well, which is why people were a lot more accepting of it rather than when this series first came out. There was a lot of back and forth about it. But let us know what you think in the comments down below, and if you're new to the channel, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe and leave a comment down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out, Zaddy.